let's just start with under 800K. And previously I said under 750K, but it's already moved. And if you look on real estate data, yes, it'll say it's under 750K already. CoreLogic says it's basically at 800K now. But the reason I say it's now 800K is because what has basically happened is all the properties that you want to purchase now have already gone up above 750K. It's actually very hard to find one that is worth purchasing for that number again. And that suburb is Braybrook in Melbourne's inner west. It's in the Maribyrnong Council region. Now, Braybrook was previously known, don't get me wrong, as the Bronx of Melbourne. You had very high levels of public housing. Most of it has now been sold off. The suburb has about 18 to 19% public housing now, but although more than half, it's about 10% of that is actually aged public housing. So you get people that are like war vets, people from dysfunctional, should I say, maybe long-term relationships. You also get people who are widows that are struggling there too. And it doesn't actually feel really like, a public housing estate or part for the most part of it. There's only about probably 8 or 9% of the suburb that is still public housing, genuinely probably bad public housing. The actual age part of public housing, it just literally feels like I kid you not, like you're living near 70s or 80s built retirement living estate. That's what it feels like. It feels exactly like that. It's peaceful, calm, and the street is quiet as hell. There's no issues with it. So the stigma of it's actually changed quite a lot. But if you look at Braybrook, it's literally still around, depending on what you look at, somewhere between 760 and probably about $800,000. If you look here, this is in 2018. Braybrook's actually done 9.9% long-term capital growth. So you look there, and back in 2018, it was actually the median was 760,000. So it's done literally nothing for literally it's actually 8 years if you take it in total, because this was done in 2018, but in 2017 it actually peaked. 2018 it actually came sort of petered out a little bit, and it does 9.9% long-term growth, and the market's actually there is starting to gentrify as well. So it's very good for that. I can't think of a better area to buy long-term than probably Braybrook. So really, really good for, especially under 800,000. It's the last one you'll pick up for under 800,000, and I imagine probably in 6 to 12 months' time that'll be 850. So don't hate me when I say you can't afford it anymore and you call me up in 6 months' time, because that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what's going to happen. Your better pockets of here as well will do above 10% capital growth. I'm telling you that right now. So let's just be real about this. This is what's going to happen. Great suburb to buy there in Braybrook. Let's get into another one right next door. West Footscray, under 900,000. West Footscray, famous for being the home of the Western Bulldogs. This is their ground here. A lot of very patriotic fans in the Maribyrnong, especially Hobsons Bay Council regions, right? It was the original working class club of Melbourne, okay? So, but that's not really the reason West Footscray is probably one of my favourite areas to buy. Look, West Footscray is only about 7 or 8 k's from the CBD, is on one of the major train lines and bus lines of the inner west going straight towards Sunshine and out that way. But I mean, look, West Footscray alone. So I showed you the Braybrook long-term capital growth. West Footscray is very close to that. It's on about 9.6% long-term. The thing about that though is, again, as I said, you're buying a street of the suburb. West Footscray has major roads running between it. It has small industrial areas that you wouldn't want to buy in. So if you take them out and you only include detached houses, I'm telling you it's above 10% as well long-term. But West Footscray, really, it's gone through complete gentrification. So if you want to just look at, this is ABS census data between 2021 and 2006. So the right-hand side there, you've got $821 a week median household income, weekly household income. Now it's more than doubled to $1,989. But look at that ratio also of your household income weekly to mortgage repayments, how low that's gone. It's shrunk incredibly. Now, what that's showing is the LVR is going down in the suburb, average LVR, and also the average income relative to the mortgage repayments is also coming down. That's really important to gentrification. So West Footscray is a really good example of a suburb that's completely gentrifying, and is a very, very good example of also somewhere where I do heavily look at buying. You're in the right pocket again, but here's a good example of one where you can get a suburb for under 900K, good capital growth, good rental yield, And no worries longer term with the long-term fundamentals. It's gentrifying as well. Diversified industry gentrifying both of these. Let's get it under $1 million. Now, has been previously for some people because, as I said, the average person at a barbecue has no idea what they're talking about. Your average person who even lives in the area has no idea what they're talking about when it comes to making money investing, because the average Australian, 95% of them are absolutely broke. They have one property, they maybe one investment or something else. They think they're doing that well. Look, if you were born but anything before 1985 and you're not a multi-millionaire, like it's the easiest generation to ever do it. It is an easy generation. Like, come on, man. Like, these people you can't listen to. But the suburb I'm mentioning is Kensington. The reason people don't like it is because it is a little bit industrial, don't get me wrong. It feels some parts a bit industrial, and it doesn't have, I guess, longer term as much culture to some of the other suburbs. And yes, it wasn't a great area to live in the early 2000s, I understand it, and before that probably even worse, right? But today, really, the whole suburb has completely changed. Look, you still get a lot of the homes in Kensington are your terrace-based Victorian homes. You have Edwardians, and you have also the ones I like, your detached, smaller homes as well. Now, you can still pick these up for like $950,000 to $1 million if you know where to look and how to get them in the right pocket. And they've done I kid you not, 9.5% to 9.7% capital growth long-term on average. Better ones do even higher than that. Now, Kensington as well has completely changed its demographic. It is very well diversified because it's right next to the CBD, right next to Richmond, Fitzroy, Carlton, not even far from Kew, the law precinct of Kew there as well. So a lot of people here work in very well diversified long-term industries and earn very high amounts of money. And you got a good cafe culture and a good community there now too. So people that haven't been there, just take a walk down on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning here in the main streets of Kensington. You'll see cafes everywhere, people out and about. Really nice area, right? But really the trump card of this really is, or the gold card of this is, the location is number one, but the bigger one that I've mentioned is a key point is the demographics number two. So if you look here, weekly median household income, $2,216. Monthly mortgage repayments, $2,162. So, people a week earn more than their monthly mortgage repayments here. So the general rule of property is a 30% ratio, to pay off your actual mortgage repayments. Now, people a week already earn more than their monthly mortgage repayments. Even if that was at parity, that would be 25%. So there's plenty of value in that. The ability of people here to pay higher rent is very strong because the weekly median household income here as well. And also they have a very low LVR. This is crazy because it hasn't really done anything for about 7 years or so. So this is census in 2021. The median weekly household income is way higher than this. Incomes on average from 2021, so in 4 years, have probably gone up at least minimum 15%. So if you take 15%, you're edging on there, $2,500 a week. And the median monthly mortgage repayments are probably the same because the suburb has not moved, really, okay? So that's the thing about Kensington. Yes, you'll get idiots who don't know what they're talking about saying, no, don't buy there, it's not a good area. But look at the numbers. There's no debate over the numbers. There's none whatsoever over these numbers, okay? Very underpriced, great area to buy, an area I target regularly. You need to know where to buy, don't get me wrong, but very, very good suburb in that. Let's get into probably one of my favourites in the whole of the Melbourne market, and that is Cremorne. So for people that don't know Cremorne, it's basically right next to Richmond. I call it your MCG suburb of Melbourne. It neighbours the MCG just across the road from it, really. Great suburb, mostly full of, you do have a few apartments, but a lot of terrace houses, a lot of, your Victorian, Edwardian, small detached homes, which is exactly what I like targeting. Make sure you're in the right street, though. There are a few main roads and are a few areas that are, a little bit, I'd say, not private because, you might have a few small industrial estates there, as small industrial parts as well, older industrial areas and areas that just people don't want to live. But the median of Cremorne is only about 1.3 million. So that really has done nothing since 2017. So that's 8 years worth of 0% growth. And Cremorne's done nearly, I think it's 9.7 or 9.8% capital growth long term. Telling you right now, you pick the right street, it's doing above 10%, 100% long term. So anyway, but the biggest thing about Cremorne, similarly to Kensington, is the weekly household income. So this is census 2021. $2,959 weekly household income, $2,300 a week monthly mortgage repayment. So that is substantially more than its weekly monthly mortgage repayments. It's nearly 20% more, right? Now, again, it's done nothing for a few years. So 2025, you even take 15% of that, right? You're pushing on, $3,500 a week, weekly median household income. So that is like 20% or something of your monthly mortgage repayments because it's done nothing. So I don't think anyone needs to debate me on that. That is an exceptional area to buy. Can't get much better than that. How good of a buy is that really? Like Cremorne. Let's get it under 1.5 million. And it's a popular suburb and it's very popular, especially amongst internationals and families. And that suburb is Box Hill. So look, one of the reasons why I really like Box Hill is because it's a part of the Inner East enclave, should I say. It's one of the key suburbs to sort of the Inner East of Melbourne. Historically very well known for, should I say, the good schools around there. Some quite nice large blocks nearby, in the suburbs, should I say itself. You can actually develop one of these blocks as well, so it's rare in the sense that you can do that in Box Hill. And it neighbours some of the most premier suburbs, really, of Melbourne's Inner East. So, like Mont Albert, for example, it's very close to Camberwell and Canterbury. Pretty much the two, I'd say, probably highest profile, and Hawthorn, I'd say, two suburbs of Melbourne. One of your most historicals close as well, Kew. Not only that, but Box Hill, look, it's very popular amongst especially Asian community buyers, especially because of the good schools around there. And it's very, very underpriced. Look, the median of Box Hill at the moment, if you look in real estate, says about 1.6 million or so. But you're picking up, I kid you not, you are picking up stuff here under 1.5 million that are right dwellings as well. It is achievable 100% at the moment in Box Hill. But the big thing about it is, look, it's done nothing since 2017. So just on the right here, you'll see Box Hill. This is Melbourne's top performers in the Aussie Home Loans 25-year report. Box Hill was number 4, so it did above 10% capital growth. I think it did either 10.1 or 10.2% technically capital growth. And look at the median price, 1.755 million. At the moment, it says 1.625 million, sorry. So look, it's actually underpriced to where it was back literally 7 years ago, right? The actual boom stopped in 2017. So it's actually 8 years here, and it's actually lower price than it was back then, but it does 10.1 to 10.2% long term. And not only that too, it's also actually, you were able to pick it up for literally under 1.5 million at the moment. Literally, I've picked them up for flat 1.5 million before, right? And even less, 1.45 even. So, this area, if you are someone who wants a good family home long term, a development project, or you're a wealthier person who wants to eat up some of your negative gearing, $2.5 million borrowing capacity, you want to then buy them in trading companies and trust, great suburb for that. You can't go really wrong with buying here. It's very, very good for that. That's the one in Box Hill. The average has done 10.1 or 10.2. Imagine you're buying a better street. It's doing more than that. So very, very good suburb. One of the best in all of Melbourne by far. Let's get into the next one, St Kilda. Now, I've said under 2 million here, but really St Kilda's, look, it's really around 1.7 to be honest with you, the median. But, it's easier just to say under 2 million because it's a more broadly, should I say, rounded number. But, look, St Kilda's obviously known for St Kilda Beach. It's obviously known for Luna Park there, and I guess it's tramway and it's actual sort of high street kind of there too, beachside. And, you got more than one, should I say, high street in St Kilda, or section, should I say, of it as well. But really, St Kilda, it's one of the most famous parts of all of Melbourne. It's actually well known even by a lot of internationals. They all go there as well. Stock alone in St Kilda as well, I kid you not, it is also, I'd say, quite scarce, especially in the right pockets of St Kilda. It'd be very hard to actually pick up the right property in St Kilda, really. But $1.7 million, I kid you not, it was about 1.55 to 1.6 in 2017. And it's done not much. It's in the Bayside. It's in the right pocket as well of the Bayside. So really what St Kilda is, cheap in a very expensive pocket. So it's two neighbouring suburbs, Elwood and also St Kilda West there, Middle Park, Albert Park, all those suburbs, and then even Brighton if you go past Elwood, that actually are on the beachfront, are significantly more expensive. They're above literally like $2 million, some are even 2.25 and above, right? So, well, I mean, Albert Park's like 2.4, Brighton's like 3, to give you an idea. Now, the really important thing though is, and I've put this here as well, is pick the right neighbourhood, because St Kilda does have some very derelict parts with public housing. You don't want to buy there, okay? Do not buy there because it is not a good area to buy. Mind you, I've picked up stock in St Kilda for right down to $1.3 and $1.4 million before that have rented for above 3.5% yield. So don't be discouraged by 1.7. You can pick it up even with lower borrowing capacities. Very good suburb in that. Very good if you like the beach side as well. Good for pretty much everyone here because there's a lot to do, very close to a lot of high-paying jobs and good schools as well. Great suburb that in St Kilda, 100%. Finally, let's finish with if you have any budget. Now, sure, this is actually not that high compared to Sydney or even some parts of Brisbane now, but for any budget, my pick of the suburbs by far is Albert Park. It is the best suburb in all of Melbourne by far, I think. Best lifestyle, I'd say, best location, best proximity to the city, best neighbourhood. I mean, it's obviously famous for the F1, like you can see here, but really, the fundamental reason Albert Park, and it's one of the crucial reasons why it is the best suburb in all of Melbourne to buy. Now, yes, you probably need, mind you, I have picked up Albert Park for $1.5 million before. I have done that. It is achievable. I've even picked it up for slightly below that before. Now, however, if you have the money and you're very wealthy and you want to move to the best suburb, this is it. Your median's about $2.4 million, but it's done nothing for about also, really hasn't done that much for it's done probably between 10 and 15 in the last 7 or 8 years. So really good suburb in that to consider. Look, the real gold card of Albert Park is has the highest price per square meter. And if you look on the left here, this was taken a couple of years ago. Albert Park, so it's the most in Melbourne. It's the 26th most expensive nationally, but price per square meter was $13,915. Now it is significantly more than anywhere else. It's literally more than it's about $1,200 more than anywhere else per square meter. That today is about $15,000 per square meter. Okay. So if you've got a suburb that hasn't done that much for a long time, but the land value has actually gone up a fair bit because it's gone up about 7 or 8% since this actual thing was found. You can search this up it's on Domain, so just search up Melbourne price per square meter suburb or Albert Park price per square meter suburb. You can find it on a Domain article. If it's actually gone up in land value, but it hasn't gone up in actual price, you're getting a higher land to asset value ratio, which means the replacement cost you're fulfilling at a higher rate, and you're also in one of the best suburbs in all. No, you are not the best. One of the best. You are in the best suburb of all Melbourne. So that's the reason why Albert Park is the best suburb. If you have any budget in all of Melbourne to purchase in, it's the most undervalued by a country mile. Maybe not the most undervalued in all Melbourne by a country mile. I'd probably say there's probably a few in this episode that I previously mentioned, the more undervalued than it. But if you have a big budget, this is a good suburb. You can see you cannot go wrong in this suburb. I'm telling you that right now.